Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sanya and I make videos on spirituality and going forward I'll also be making on psychology. In this video, I will be sharing the benefits I have reaped and how meditation has benefited me in accelerating my spiritual as well as mental journey. But before I dive into it, I wanted to watch this video for no reason. Spirituality is a very personal experience for everyone, and I have seen not everyone is comfortable to talk about it, and I totally understand why. We somehow feel that we will be questioned by our friends and family, let alone the society. So we drop the idea of sharing our experiences altogether. Eventually, we end up dismissing what we feel, and this leads to doubting our own experiences. However, what I feel is the more you believe in your experiences and share them with this world, the stronger they grow for you, and with time, you start attracting like minded people. And this is the power of having faith in yourself and the higher power within you. If you are currently meditating only for the peace of your mind, I would suggest add lots of devotion and love to your practice, and that is when you start to see the unseen. Only those who have experienced it will believe in it, but I am making this video for those who want to know more from other people's experiences. So, when I started out by following meditation where I was just focused on breathing, I encountered a lot of mental chatter and resistance from my mind as I had never done it before. It made me realize that my mind is very active and it is so difficult to calm it down. It made me go crazy as I just didn't know how to sit quietly in peace. I gave it up as it did not give me instant gratification and had added to my suffering. Now there was one more thing to worry about in my life. I tried again and I really don't know what kept me going, to be honest. Maybe it had challenged me somehow, and as I really love solving problems, so I took it up. I realized that it was only an initial struggle as slowly I got very habitual of it. And sitting still for some time kind of gave me an unknown peace, and I felt a little accomplished. Gradually, I switched into watching my thoughts from focusing on breathing, but it was kind of an on and off between completely involved in my thoughts and drifting away with it first, and then gently bringing my awareness back to my breath again, and then watching my thoughts from a distance is kind of a little complicated. It might seem, but it's not. This continued for a long time, and while doing the same, I started to become a little more peaceful, but it was never under my control as well. I used to feel little flashes of bliss, but only when I was doing it at the right time with the right energy and lifestyle. Only rarely I used to feel this way, and rest of the times I was just struggling. Or sometimes I would just skip it because I could not calm myself down while meditating. And then one fine month, I completely stopped meditating and got busy with other activities of life. I started to indulge myself into reading psychologically dark books, which I used to read a lot, to be honest, and I kept going with it. I explained this part in my last video as to how it impacted me so much that I kind of shut down from the outside world and became extremely dull. That was when I realized that I needed to get back to meditating again and learn it properly. Going into the darkness helped me realize that there is something very wrong with me, and that is my own mind. I needed to train it the right way. While meditating during those days, I was also indulging myself into spirituality somehow, and it kind of was coming from my heart very naturally. The moment I read Power of Now book, I felt as if I understood what the writer was trying to say. I had never experienced that feeling before. It felt like a new birth given to me altogether. Everything started to feel more beautiful and vibrant, just like how it used to feel when we were kids. All of these things happened because of some grace, and there was nothing I had done to get it. I realized that there is some power with me which I didn't know existed. I started to feel more confident, present, and happy. In short, I felt at my best. I did not want anything at that point in my life, and I was in no rush to go anywhere. I knew I had a lot to do in my life, but there was no urgency of doing anything yet. At the same time, I felt completely focused at the present moment. Every day, my meditation was becoming so peaceful and powerful. I felt strong connection with a higher power within. Every day was extraordinary. I started to share this with my husband and friends, but I kind of did not know how to explain this to them. I still don't know what had changed, to be honest, if I have to explain it in words. Everything was same. It was just the peace in my mind which was more, and there was no negativity. I felt cleansed. That is when I thought, if I can feel this way, then others can too. But there should be a way to reach this state for sure. That is when I got extremely curious about learning more about meditation, because I really wanted my husband to experience this as well. So my search continued. That is when I learned about how our mind works, and I fell in love with this book, Power of Unwavering Focus by Dandapani. Now I realize I was being so much focused in the present moment that I completely lost my ego, which kept me in the past or future. If you have a hard time understanding this, let me give an example which I feel most of us can relate to. When I was young, I remember from my childhood memories that I enjoyed a lot of moments because everything was new and fresh. Even encountering the butterflies was such a bliss for me, and somehow I enjoyed those little moments back then a lot more than I do now. I knew back then, unknowingly, how to be joyful. It was a natural state of our existence. What changed all of us now is that we all have learned a lot and conditioned ourselves as per our surroundings, as it was necessary for our survival. This is how we all grow up. With time, we keep taking inputs from others and feed it into ourselves. And in this race of becoming something, we lose ourselves. Our mind gets occupied with other people's stories or our own good or bad experiences and keeps our focus away from the present moment, which is everything. Our mind cuts it idle and it needs something to do, so it does everything to prove itself right to others and to itself. When we classify things as good or bad, we are working through our ego. And I will explain this concept in my upcoming videos, but this is where our ignorance starts and we start to lose our inner beauty. But that's okay. Once we understand that it is not normal, that is when we start to train our minds. Now I know our mind has to be in control of our will. Only then we will be able to get back to our original nature. We have come a long way where we have conditioned our minds unknowingly, where we have been categorizing the inputs from external world into right and wrong without knowing that each experience was necessary for shaping us into who we are today. Another benefit of meditation I realized was that I started becoming more aware about my own reactions to the external world. I could just observe those from a distance and process it at the same time. If I wasn't sure from where it was coming, I would hold the thought and would keep it for processing later, or maybe discuss with my husband about it in case I get stuck. Earlier, I was just a product of my reactions, which were mostly dependent on the external world. Now, I clearly distinguish the reason why they arise and pinpoint to a memory which started the way I react subconsciously. And since now I know the reason of how it started, I have all the power to convert it into a better response. I see my relationships becoming stronger because of this reason, as I've stopped reacting 80% of how I used to And I can totally understand the point of other person without any preconceived notions. This is the most crucial aspect for me because our peace is shaped majorly by our relationships. And when we can make peace with it, we can grow stronger. With time, it felt like I rewired my subconscious mind very naturally, and I'm still working on it. But once I started to make these little changes, I observed that the response from the external world towards me changed completely. I could sense a different energy altogether. Earlier, talking to a lot of people used to drain me a lot. Now, I started to enjoy it because I could channelize my own energy better. My intuition grew stronger, and I knew how to keep myself uplifted all the time. I started understanding the concept of energies and feel it on a subtler level. The moment I realized that adding devotion and love to my practice and believing in it completely is the only way through which we are guided in the right direction, I understood that it is the way to reach your higher self. But this does not mean that you become a superhuman or anything, it's just the realizations that you go through which makes you a more humble person. I never forced myself into doing the things as per the laws written in any scripture, but I kind of was becoming extremely observant of my own negativity that getting rid of them every day is what I started to do. It kind of became an easy thing for me. Doing this each day brings me immense peace and joy, and this is how I nourish my soul. So, here is another interesting insight from my meditation that I don't feel the same energy in my meditation if there is something which I need to resolve first. Unless I have realized the exact issue, I keep sitting with it until it is clear to me. Eventually, it does strike to me when I meditate. I also observed a lot of other benefits in my life, like increased focus, reduced digestion issues, and getting to know about others deeply, and developing some sort of an intuition which guides me to the right speech, maybe. But those are just a byproduct of my meditation. The most important one is what I described above. And if you have a power on your own awareness, you can create the life that you want. Because where awareness goes, energy flows. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.